Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to everyone who is joining live tonight. And thank you to everyone who is catching the replay. I appreciate all of you so much for hanging out with me on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, I go live at 6 p.m. Eastern to chat about all things goals, planning, and life. And I'm excited to hang out with you tonight. Let's kick it off with our first question. What are you drinking? This is called Lattes with Laken. So while you are watching, what is it that you're sipping on? Let us know in the chat if you are here live. And if you are watching the replay, let us know down in the comments what it is that you're drinking while you're watching the replay. I know a lot of you tend to treat the replay almost like a podcast and listen to it while you're doing something else. So let us know if you're drinking something and if you're doing something else. I just have water tonight, really behind on my water today. Mostly because I slept in and I didn't work out. And when that happens, I always get behind on my water, just something about it. So I'm trying to catch up and finish my water while we chat today. All right, let's see in the chat here. Diet Dr. Pepper. I don't see many other comments in the chat. I don't know if there is sometimes there's a delay in me being able to see the comments. Oh, there they are. They all pop up at once. Ooh, a caramel pumpkin brulee with almond milk. That sounds delicious. Hot chocolate, water, a blackberry bubbly, decaf latte, coffee, water, and Diet Dr. Pepper. Some more water. Yeah, it is a water kind of day. Just trying to stay hydrated. We've had a massive shift in weather here in New York this week. It's much colder than it has been before. So definitely trying to focus on staying hydrated. Diet Coke. Hello, iced tea. Yum. All right, let's get to it. I do have some pre-submitted questions that I will get to at some point, but I want to prioritize anybody who is here live who has a question really quick. Before we get into the questions, I want to make sure that I mentioned it last week, but I forgot to mention it until way into the video, and some people don't make it that far. So I want to make sure I mention it at the beginning. I am speaking at a summit. It is called Graduate with Grace. The focus of this summit is for moms in school, moms going back to school, moms that are studying something to outside of all their responsibilities as a mom. And I obviously am talking all about goals and habits. There are also a ton of other amazing speakers talking all about all kinds of other things, routines, obviously mom tips, etc., and schooling and studying. The link is in the description box, both on YouTube and on Facebook. It is free. All of these online summits that kind of popped up over the last year or so, they're all free. The catch is that you have to watch the sessions within 24 hours when they go live. That's how they stay free. That's just how it works. So I just want to make sure that I let you guys know at the beginning of the video for anybody who may have missed it last week. All right, let me hop back over to the comments. Any questions? No, just a lot more people drinking water. A lot more people drinking water. Let me know what questions you have, or if there's just a topic that you want to talk about and you don't know how to phrase it into question form, you can just say, I want to talk about, insert your topic here, and we can talk about that. Lots of water today. Everybody is getting their water in. Any questions? I can jump right into the pre-submitted ones. There were a lot this week that I felt were better suited for the live. If you don't know, on Instagram, every Monday on Instagram, I post a question box asking if you have a question. If it is something I can answer in one Instagram story, so 15 seconds or less, I will answer it right then and there on Instagram. If I feel like I need at least a minute to answer it, I'll save it for the live that week. Some of them I've saved for their own standalone videos. Lisa Marie, will you be doing a detailed walkthrough of the power sheets before the seminar in December? I did a detailed walkthrough of the power sheets. I did a complete review of them. I walked through them from start to finish. So I'm not sure if you need something else on top of that. I'm not sure what your question is. When is it too early to start making 2022 goals? Amanda, this is a great question. I don't think it ever is. It's never too early to start thinking about the next year. But what I don't want to see happen is you to be so focused on making 2022 goals that you let go of the progress that can still be made in 2021. So if for you, that means not thinking at all about 2022 until you get to that scheduled time in December, that might be the solution. It might be what I do, which is I have a running list of 2022 goal ideas. It's just one page on my iPad where I jot down anything that comes to mind for 2022 that I don't want to let it distract me this year. So I don't think it's ever too early. Just don't let it distract you from the rest of this year. Susan, can you add the link for virtual tickets to your dance show? I absolutely can. I know that it is linked in maybe not last week's, but the week before, Lattes with Laken, and the vlog from that same week. I'm pretty sure the show is linked there. It's also linked to my Instagram bio. I'm not going to take it down until after the show is over. Beth, have you ever heard of the CEO of your life planner? I have not. Sounds like that's something I need to take a look at. I will look. Thanks. December daily order came in today. Oh my gosh, Amy, that is so fun. My order also arrived. It's sitting right there. It's that box underneath the blanket. I'm not allowed to touch it this week because this week is just so swamped with all kinds of things. And I'm trying my best to keep my apartment as tidy as possible before my parents get here. And so it's better off for all of us that my December daily stays in its box until next week, which is okay. What stickers do you own and will you be buying more? I actually just talked all about this in a vlog recently, all about what the stickers that I'm getting rid of and what stickers I'm keeping. I did make a big purchase like during that vlog from Christiane Designs. That sticker haul went up in last week's vlog. I don't plan to buy any more stickers at this point after that purchase. This is a great question, Michelle. I would love to know about where to get started with goal setting. So I think one of the big struggles is that we can overcomplicate goal setting. And in reality, to me, all it is prioritizing the time to do things that you want to do in your life. And when you attach goals to it, it helps you make it more of a priority. It helps give you a why to drive towards those things that you want to do or work on. But in reality, it's just doing things that you want to do. That's all goal setting is. So when it comes to getting started, an easy way is to go with a tool or a planner that has goal setting tactics, a part of it, the Power Sheets, the Moxie Life system. The other option is just to pick something that you want to work on, something that you want to improve in your life, something you want to do more regularly, and start scheduling time for it. Erica, how do you reevaluate your career goals when your job focus changed? That's a great question. I have found at work the best ideas or the best realizations that have come from my full-time job is when I have conversations with other people. So I would grab a mentor, a coworker, a trusted coworker, and talk it out about what you're thinking about your career goals and your job focus. And then that will hopefully help provide some clarity for you to set future career goals. Oh, Lisa Marie, you feel like the review was different. You meant for the Patreon group completing some of the legwork before the seminar. You do not need to do anything before the seminar. The seminar will do everything. With the seminar she's talking about is Cultivate Your Life. You do not need to do anything before the seminar. They will walk you through every single page of the prep work at the seminar. We are doing a Patreon event afterwards to finish breaking those goals down that is set up for any Power Sheets, Moxie Life, any sort of goal setting system that any member of the community is using. But we don't need to do anything before because we'll do everything there. Okay, Courtney, I skipped your question on purpose because I wanted to kind of settle in to answer this question. I also got a pre-submitted question in advance that was, what are my thoughts on the No BS program? And then Courtney asked, can you walk through your routine using the No BS program? What does it look like to make, implement, assess, reflect on the 4 principles? So for those of you who have no idea what she's talking about, let me quickly recap. I talked about this in my Q3 goals videos where I first referenced this. No BS is a weight loss program. It is dedicated strictly to weight loss, not overall health, not overall physical well-being, literal losing weight, losing numbers on the scale. So the creator of the No BS program is Corinne Crabtree, who I've talked about before also in a favorites video because she has a podcast called Losing 100 Pounds with Corinne. She does swear, giving you that caveat, but her podcast has a lot of really great information in it as well. The premise of the No BS program are 4, she calls them the 4 basics. She talks about them all over the place on the internet. So I can very comfortably share the 4 basics with you. Just know that within the program, she teaches you way, way, way more about how to implement them into your day-to-day life. So the first one is getting 7+ hours of sleep. I'm very good at that one. That one I don't have to really implement at all. The next one is drinking at least 64 ounces of water. Also not something I have to implement. Yes, I'm behind on my water goal today. I'm already well beyond 64 ounces. I tend to drink a lot more water than that. So that one also is not a struggle for me. The third one is the one that you will have seen a lot in my Power Sheets videos that I'm currently working on implementing a process, and that is creating a daily food plan. So what she encourages you to do is every single day, just pick what you're going to eat. It doesn't have to be within a certain calorie range. It doesn't have to be anything. All she wants is every morning, you pick what you're going to eat that day, and then you follow that. So right now, it is part of my morning routine. I have 10 minutes that are part of my morning routine. I use the planner from the program. You cannot purchase the planner unless you're part of the program. I set 10 minutes aside where I assess my plan from yesterday. How did I do? Did I follow? Did I not? And there's a bunch of other questions that are within the planner, and then set my plan for the next day. So it's part of my morning routine. So that's kind of the biggest routine part of it. I also have implemented into my routine right now on a weekly basis, doing the actual courses that are part of the program that are, again, the course is meant to help you implement these 4 basics. Then the last one is the hardest one that I'm still really not focusing on right now. I am a little bit, and I have a little bit in my Power Sheets, but I'm really not prioritizing it as much with everything I've got going on. And that is to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. It's all grouped together in that last 4th basic. So that's the one that I'm still working on. All in all, I think the program is fantastic. Like any program though, you have to follow it in order for it to give you benefits. And there are a lot of different programs that work. It's just whether you can follow through on them. So if this is a program that sounds like it's something you would follow through on, then it would likely work for you, as it is working for me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everybody though. So I hope that answers all the questions about the No BS program. Rosie, do you have a tip for sharing weekly goals plan as I go on social media? It's really more just what you feel comfortable with. Figure out which platform is best for you, whether that's YouTube or Instagram. I actually share a lot of my plan as I go stuff in my Patreon community. Like I try to share a daily picture of my daily planner every day. I just said daily like 4 times. That answer. But I don't worry about the actual planning process. I just post a picture of it afterwards. That's probably the easiest way to do this, is to just post a picture and not worry about the process of it. Amanda, this is a great question. Do you write out your goals and then put them into categories, or do you look at categories and then think of goals for each category? Is one way better than the other? The answer to the last question is no. As with everything related to goals, there is no one right answer. There's no one right way to go about setting and achieving your goals. In terms of whether you write out goals and then categorize or category into goals, it really is just what works better for you. I typically come up with goals and then group them into categories because ideas come to me before categories do, if that makes sense. But for somebody else, it might be hard to come up with goal ideas. And one of the things that we talk about in the course that I've taught in a number of different platforms, I've talked about this, is if you're going to start with the categories, I would encourage you to pick categories that work for your life. Like a lot of these goal setting systems have set categories, and that can be very helpful. It's a good jumping off point, but it might have categories that you wouldn't use at all, and it might be missing something that you would absolutely use. And so if you're going to start with categories and then pick goals from there, I would pick categories that are specific to your life. Elise, I think you've said before that you have a sweet tooth. How do you manage a sweet tooth and trying to lose weight, make healthier eating choices? So the biggest thing I've learned is just to not restrict myself. If I have a sweet craving and I need something sweet, then I get something sweet, because if I don't, then it's only going to get worse. So I do keep sweets in the house, and I just keep a variety of different options. And I've talked about these before, lots of different chocolate options like milk, dark, caramel, all kinds of things from Trader Joe's. We usually have an ice cream in the freezer. Sam is not quite as good about restricting himself on the quantity. Like I can be very good. If I have a sweet tooth, I will just have one little piece of chocolate and I immediately feel better and I'm like good to go. This is a good tip, Amy. You read the pages ahead of time in your Power Sheet, so you know what's coming for Cultivate Your Life, but just didn't write anything down. That's good. So yeah, if you feel like reading will help you, that is a good place to start. But don't feel like you have to, because they're going to read the pages during the sessions, so you don't have to read. Hello, welcome to a live. I'm so excited to see your face on my screen. I hope you're doing well. All right, I think I'm finally all caught up on the questions. What else is on your mind? How do I make my dog stop barking when I'm trying to film YouTube videos? Amanda, I do not own any dogs, so I do not have a solution for you on this. I do have a dog in the building that does not stop barking and is very frustrating, but I do not have any tips. I'm sorry. Diane, reading any good fiction books. So yeah, I actually just powered through. I talk about this in the vlog. Maybe Friday, maybe next week. I don't remember. I literally all the videos just meshed together for me in my head. It's a young adult futuristic society trilogy, shocker, but one that I had never read. It's Delirium is the first one. Can't remember the names of the second two, but I just sped through them and over the weekend, last weekend, and then this past weekend, and they're so good, so good. I love them. The last one, I will say, wasn't as great as the first two. But I feel like that's the case with all of these trilogies. That last one, just like, they're not as good at putting a little like bow on the end of the story. Susan, yeah, sweets can be tricky. If you start to eat them, you can't stop. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. For me, I have learned that if I don't treat that sweet tooth in the moment that I feel it, it's going to grow into a sweet monster instead of just like, I need a piece of chocolate. So that's what works for me. I will say sometimes when it's that time of the month, I am not as good at stopping. So I have to be a little bit more thoughtful about what's in the house then. I'm going to hop over to one of the pre-submitted questions that I got that I thought was interesting. Change of season mid-November. One goal hard for the rest of the year or mini progress for lots. I know the person that submitted this, so I know what is shifting and what is freeing up her time, let's say, in mid-November from where she's at right now. And my advice is at that point, we're talking about 6 weeks left in the year, part of which is going to be the holidays, 2 major holidays, depending on what you celebrate. And also part of that is going to be preparing for 2022. So my recommendation would be to pick one goal, focus on that for the rest of the year. That way you don't lose goal momentum in general, but you're not as feeling as all over the place as we finish up the year. Amy, I love this question. Once your show is over, will you audition again? Will you fill that time with wedding planning, or will you just take a break? So there is a season every half a year. So the auditions for next season are actually in December. Typically they're the first or second week in January, but it got bumped up a little bit. I'm not really sure why. And then the show is the last week in April. And originally I had thought, there's no way. Like, I'm going to be planning a wedding and I'm going to miss the week of the wedding, like rehearsal the week of the wedding. I shouldn't audition for this next season. But you know what? I don't have any major conflicts with auditions, tech, or the show. And we're back. This season is a much shorter season. It's only 10 weeks. Normally they're 16 weeks. So with 16 weeks, if I have to miss 1 or even 2 for wedding related things, it's really not that bad. And I think that having dance still in my life will make me so much less stressed about wedding things. I think it will make me happier. I mean, it's already made me so much happier. I just forgot how much I love to dance. And so yeah, no, I'm planning to audition again in December, and I'm planning to do it again in the spring. The show will be at the end of April. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I forgot how much I love to dance. I forgot how much I loved the people that I dance with, like being able to spend time with them and even meet some new people, some new friends. Cause like, if I haven't mentioned this or you don't remember me talking about it, I was a member of the company seasons 10 through 13, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Which was years ago. And then I missed 14, 15, 16 because I just had conflicts. I kept having, mostly it was weddings. I had wedding conflicts, either with the tech or with the show. And then obviously with everything going on, they haven't had a season in a year and a half. So it had been like 3-ish years since I participated. So there's new people that have joined, and I've been really enjoying getting to know some of them and hang out with them. And I just like, it makes me so happy. And so, yeah, the show, after the show's over, there will be a couple of weeks where everybody kind of relaxes and enjoys. And then mid-December, we will audition for next season. And then the next question also about dance. Nicola, dance practice is great. Tomorrow is my last rehearsal, and then the show is on Saturday, which is crazy. Diane, what kinds of activities will you be doing with your parents? That's a fun question. If you don't know, my parents are coming this weekend to see the show. My dad and my stepmom. My mom and stepdad are out of the country. It was a trip they booked before I even auditioned for the show, so that doesn't work. They can't even, well, my mom's going to buy a ticket to the live show to support, but it's like 3 a.m. where she is. She's not going to watch it. But my dad and stepmom are coming. They come tomorrow. So we're grabbing an early dinner tomorrow before rehearsal. Then I have rehearsal tomorrow night. So they're just going to, I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow night. We're going to hang out Friday during the day. We're going to show off the new neighborhood, walk around the city. My stepmom wants to go to Soul Cycle. I don't think I'm going to join her because I don't want to risk being sore. And so we're just going to like hang out, relax during the day. And then we actually have a wedding on Friday night. And so they are going to see a show. They bought tickets to go see Six. I'm so jealous, but they're going to a show Friday night. Saturday during the day, I'm not going to see them at all because I'm at dance all day. But I don't know what they're doing Saturday during the day. And then Sunday we'll grab brunch before they leave. So those are all of our plans. Jess, do you know of any goal planners that are sold as printables or digitals? Living in Canada, you can't afford the par sheets due to shipping costs. So I know that the HB90 system does have a printable option. There's a review. I'm doing a review of that coming very soon. It's a little bit more specific than the power sheet system. So I would wait for that review and see if it might work for you. I do also know that the Moxie Life goal setting system is going to be offering printables this year. Ooh, great question. Has your sticker decluttering inspired the same in other parts of your life? Not yet. Mostly because I just know that I don't have time right now to worry about it. It has inspired me internally. There's lots of spaces that I'm like, oh, I want to declutter that. I want to declutter that. But again, with the show coming up, I just have told myself, no, that's not a priority and I'll get to it. But I'm going to soon. Trying to find a planning style that works for me. How long should I stick with one method before I evaluate, switch things up? Amy, this is a great question and one that is difficult to give you an exact answer because it's going to be different for different people. It's going to be a lot based on how often does your life change, right? So if you have a job that fluctuates a lot, then you're going to need to give that planning system a little bit more time to see if it sticks. If your weeks are pretty much the same week to week, like in terms of your commitments, your family's commitments, whatever is on your plate, then you might not only need to give it 2 or 3 weeks to really see if it works for you. And if it's not working after 2 or 3 weeks, then try something else. So it kind of depends on your schedule and how that fluctuates. I also will always say that when you're feeling like something's not working and you want to switch it up, take a week off and go to a notepad and just plan off of a notepad for a week and then jump into trying something new. This is a great question. Can you talk about your goal to do things that make you happy? What's your goal statement? Is it a daily goal, weekly goal, etc.? So it was really more of just this like big generalization that I created because I found while I was doing my power sheets that there were a lot of things that kept jumping out at me that really I wanted to make sure that I incorporated. So I kind of grouped them all together to make it that. That's the statement. The statement is do things that make me happy. And whether it's daily, weekly, or something monthly varies every single month. So if you watch my power sheets videos, I talk every week, every month about just the different things that I am doing that fall into that category. It is probably the least structured of any of my goals, which I like it that way because it is to make me happy. It's not to fulfill any big thing. At the end of the year, this is one of those vague goals. This is one of those goals that really hammers home why I think that SMART goals are overrated because I didn't get specific about this goal at all. I literally jotted down like 10 different things that make me happy and wanted to focus on incorporating them more this year. And at the end of the year, I can look back and say, I actually feel like I probably will end up giving myself like a 9 or 10 out of 10 because also the dance show is the icing on the cake. when I wrote down the word dance at the beginning of the year, that's not what I had in mind. I was just thinking, take more dance classes. And like, this is just how it came to fruition. So I'm looking up at my vision board. It was like reading, which I've done a lot more this year. Candles, I've done a lot better job. Going to different coffee shops. Even if I don't do that every week, if you watch the overview of my trip to Oregon, I very much checked that off that week. Dance, I obviously wrote down. Playing more games. We've done that with the other couple that we love to hang out with here in the city. My best friend, her fiance, we played a lot more games with them this year than we have ever played in the past. Bubble baths, obviously something that makes me happy. So I think that not getting specific has also really helped me. Thank you, Amanda. Amberly, are you going to audition for the same amount of dances next season? So it will depend on the structure of the schedule. So when the schedule comes out, it kind of depends on what ends up on the same days or different days, because it varies every season, whether like tap is with hip hop, is with contemporaries, with jazz. And I really only live in the tap and hip hop world. So it really kind of just depends on how things shake up and how many dances there are. So we'll see. I don't know. Amy, this question is so great. Did you continue to use music this week to bring you joy? If so, which music spoke to you? Yes. The music I've been listening to this week has been my like Disney Channel Pandora station. So it's like the Cheetah Girls and High School Musical and Hannah Montana. And it just makes me so happy. I guess I don't know what the difference between digital and printable. I guess I assumed they were the same thing. I don't have all the details yet about the Moxie Life. There was a session, not last week, but the week before last, for any affiliate to learn more about the new products that we're launching. I just was not able to attend because I was at dance. And so I haven't watched the replay yet. So I don't know all the details yet about the new Moxie Life options. Current nonfiction read. I'm still reading Quit Like a Woman. And then I also started because I needed something else intertwined in that. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Ashley, good question. What benefits do you see from utilizing one planner for everything, health planner as opposed to multiple planners, or do you think separate planners is best? What works best for you? I do think this is also one of those things that is specific to a specific person. I think it depends on how you like to have things set up. So for me, I like to have things open on my desk. So at all times, my power sheets are open on my desk and my daily planner is open on my desk. And if I was using something that they were combined one in the same, I would not be able to do that. And that would make things, I think, more difficult for me. That's not to say that having things combined couldn't work for somebody else. And the one time that I did try to combine a bunch of things together was when I created my own Erin Condren Petite Planner. I don't know if y'all remember that. It was almost 2 years ago, but my friends and I, it was the day before the first Cultivate Your Year Live. We went to Office Max, Staples, one of those places, and we had them like cut and we combined a bunch of the Petite planners. And so I had a daily, a health, a habit tracker, and like something else all combined into one. I'm still using my power sheets separately. That was harder for me. It was harder to flip between all the pages than it was for me to just have them separate out. So I prefer separate planners because I like to be able to leave things open and have things in different places versus having it all together. I don't necessarily think that's the right answer for everybody. Loretta, tips for setting goals when you can't predict your work schedule. I find myself getting disheartened when I set goals, but work stuff comes up, which takes my time instead. So I think for you, it is going to be about setting goals that have the flexibility. So maybe daily goals is not necessarily the answer. And maybe it's like a sliding scale on monthly goals. And it's like, if I have a super busy month at work, this is the goal. If I have more time, it's this. If I have more time, it's that. And having like those different options so that you don't feel like you are not successful when work gets busy and things pop up. Has a schedule or more info been decided for the next small group? No, not yet. I think really one of the things that is going to decide whether I not go through with it at all, but when I schedule the calls is going to be dance. So it might be a while still before I make that decision. Love this. I know that you're doing Disney for your bachelorette. Is Sam doing something as a bachelor's? Yes. So they are going to Galveston, which is a beach town outside of Houston. His focus for his bachelor party, I almost said bachelor, his bachelor party was really to be more about, he wanted as many people that could come as possible. So like, in addition to his groomsmen, he also invited any of my brothers that were 21, as well as a bunch of his other friends that aren't groomsmen. And so he wanted it to be the least expensive option. So a lot of them are in Texas, and then Houston's also a really inexpensive city to fly into for a lot of people. And then they're just going to rent a house on the beach and just hang for the weekend. But it's the same weekend as mine, which is fun. I know the Disney Channel music is so good. It's so good. Oh, here's a printable format, the Get To workbook. I've not looked at that one. How is my fantasy football team doing? Shannon, not great. I am like 2-4. I may be 3-3 in one of them, but not good. Fantasy football is not my forte this season, which is fine. It's okay. I've accepted it. I also haven't been doing a very good job of like, I have made moves, like I've dropped people and picked people up based on injuries or like some performances, but I'm not doing as good of a job as I've done in the past to like make moves during the week. So what are your 3 favorite games that you've played with your friends? Okay, so we play code names a lot. And we always do girls against boys, and we always crush them. They are just very bad at code names. So I think I like that one because we always win. They have a Game of Thrones Clue, which is always a blast. So we like that game. We like Phase 10. We played Rummy a lot with her. It really was with her parents when we were there for Memorial Day weekend. That was fun. There's another one that we play a lot. Oh, I'm not very good at it. That's why I'm like erasing it from my mind. We play left, center, right a lot. That's the game that we'll play if we're also watching something else. So if we're trying to watch like a show or a movie or a football game and play a game, we'll play left, center, right. Do you and Sam play any fun 2-player games? So we've gotten some, but we're really bad at playing them. We're very bad about playing games, just the 2 of us. We have some, but we just don't follow through on them. Aaron, I love the holidays and prepare for them in advance. Do you also plan prepare for them? If you do, would you share some of the ways that you do that? So I don't know if it's just because I don't host the holidays. Like I go to my families, to my parents for the holidays still. So I don't do a lot of planning and preparing. The only planning and preparing I really have to do for the holidays is like buying gifts. And I have a spreadsheet for that. I know that surprises so many of you. Somebody sent me a message the other day on Instagram. It was like a sweatshirt and it says, I need to make a spreadsheet for this, or this sounds like a spreadsheet idea or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's me. I make a spreadsheet for everything. So I have tabs along the bottom for every year, and I just make a new tab every year. It has all the people that I sent gifts to, whether I need to take them with me to Chicago or whether we're mailing them. What am I buying them? Have I bought it? Is it shipped? Did I wrap it? Well, all the things. That's really the only planning and preparing I do for the holidays. Lee, do you have a separate planner for your 9-to-5 job and set yearly goals, or do you incorporate it into your personal plan with Laken Planner? So in terms of goals, it is totally separate. All of my 9-to-5 goals are captured in the system that we use for goals for work. It's an online system where I have to like type in my goals and send them to my manager, and he adds his comments, and then he sends it and it goes into the HR world. In terms of actually planning, I did used to use a separate 9-to-5, a planner for my 9-to-5. I have since in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 months, 2-3 months, I've been using one planner for both, and I've been loving it. I don't know. It's been really helpful to have them commingled. So far it's working and it's not overwhelming me. The original Trivial Pursuit. I always crush my family at Trivial Pursuit. They're not very good at it. We also had a Disney version. That one also was like not fair. In case you can tell, I'm also very competitive, which I think is sometimes why Sam doesn't want to play 2-player games with me. But that's okay. Do you use the spreadsheet for Christmas cards or do you use your gift ones? So for Christmas cards right now, I'm just using Zola, which is where our wedding stuff is. And so I'm just ordering them from that. And then I ordered like maybe 10 Blake ones because there's maybe like 10 people I sent Christmas cards to last year that aren't invited to the wedding. So for now, that's what I'm going to be doing. I need to figure out my next step after that. I usually order them in November. Like I usually design and order them and then work on them at some point in December and send them out. Amy, I would love to know how you set up your and Sam's money tracking spreadsheet. So I have a video on this that I did years ago. That's how I budget in a spreadsheet. It's basically the same, except now it includes Sam's income. That's the only change. And then now the expenses are, well, I don't show real numbers in that video anyway, but the expense section has more expenses because it's got both of our things instead of just my portion of things. But the actual setup of the spreadsheet has not changed. The way that I created that spreadsheet still totally works for me. What are you and Sam doing for Christmas this year? The same thing we do every year. We're just going to Chicago. Yeah, that's it. Lisa Marie, have you picked out your wedding dress and bridesmaids dresses? Yes. So I was very thankful that I actually went bridesmaids or wedding dress shopping February of 2020. So before everything really shut down, I went to Texas and it was just my mom, my sister, who are my maid and matron of honor, flipped around the other way around, and my stepmom. And I bought a dress and it has been living at the dress store in San Antonio ever since. And then we went bridesmaids dress shopping. I went originally with my mom and my sister in Chicago last summer, August of last year, 2020. And then I went again in October with my New York bridesmaids just to confirm my pick between my final two and had them try them both on and then picked them October of 2020. So our original wedding date was May of 2021. So some things like that were planned very, very far in advance because the date got pushed back. You will see them in 4.5 months. Great question. How do y'all choose who to spend the holidays with as a couple? So one of our pros, I guess, it's also not a conflict, is that Sam is Jewish. And so his family celebrates completely different holidays from my family. And so but we also do both come from divorced households. So we have 4 sets of parents that we have to figure out how to see over the course of the year. When I first moved to New York, I made a plan with my family that I would spend Thanksgiving with my dad and Christmas with my mom. And that was the plan I made when I moved to New York. So that's what I did for years and years. So when Sam and I started dating, and then he typically wouldn't go home for Thanksgiving. He would just go home for like some kind of winter holiday. Sometimes it was Hanukkah, sometimes it wasn't. And then he also tries to go home at some point for another high holiday, whether it's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. He's not going home for Yom Kippur. Nobody wants to celebrate that. They just want to do that at home. But he would typically go home either for Passover or Rosh Hashanah. So right now, until we were married, we would go spend Christmas with my parents or my mom still in Chicago. We would spend Thanksgiving separately. He would go spend Thanksgiving with his family in Texas, and I would spend it with my dad in San Antonio. And then we would also try and squeeze another Jewish holiday with his family. Once we get married, we're going to have to figure out Thanksgiving. This year, we're deciding we're not going to figure out Thanksgiving. Well, so last year we didn't have to figure out Thanksgiving because it didn't happen because of everything going on. This year, we're spending Thanksgiving alone. We've seen a lot of our family this year, and we're going to see a lot of them next year. So we're doing Thanksgiving by ourselves to be determined on next year's holidays. We have not figured that out yet. So I don't know yet. Am I allowed to tell the colors for the wedding? And I see another question. Are you sharing wedding colors? So, I'm allowed. It's my wedding. It's our wedding. I feel like Monica in that moment. It is our wedding. So we don't really have wedding colors. The bridesmaids dresses are red. I think I shared that somewhere. I've always wanted red bridesmaids dresses. It's always just been what I wanted. I feel like it works with any season. I feel like everybody looks good in red, and I've always wanted red bridesmaids dresses. There is no red anywhere else. That is not a wedding color. There is no red incorporated anywhere else. Everything else is basically neutral. So it's going to be creams and greens and browns and like earthy-ish, if that makes sense. Are you making another health goal for 2022? How is it going to be different from this year's health goal or the same? I have no idea yet. Who knows? We're going to see what comes through my Power Sheets prep work, and I will let you know in December. I don't know yet. Yeah, we do have to get creative with holidays. For a couple years, we did go see his family in December as well, like for New Year's after we saw my family. But we stopped doing that and tried to hit another Jewish holiday instead, because they didn't really want to. I mean, New Year's is great, but that was kind of what was working. I don't know. It will also change when we move. When we no longer live in New York and we see my Chicago family all the time, I don't think we'll ever stop spending Christmas with them because, guys, my mom just loves Christmas. Like, Christmas is just her seventh child, and she just loves Christmas. So, like, I don't think I could ever not spend Christmas with her, but we might change things up once we don't live in New York and it's easier to get to Texas. So, Elise, same. I have also always wanted to know the cost of Monica's wedding, especially like a Long Island wedding like that. I bet it was expensive. What are you doing for New Year's? Diane, we don't have any plans. We are going to be back in New York. We fly home from Chicago before New Year's, but we don't have any plans yet for New Year's. So who knows? I feel like New Year's is one of those holidays, let me know if you can relate, that I feel like gets a lot of, I just see Rain's comment that it's her favorite holiday. I just don't love New Year's. Let me take that back. I love the New Year. I love January 1st. I love a fresh start of a new year. The actual holiday of New Year's, and maybe it's just because I'm such not a night person. So like a holiday that like is forcing me to stay up until midnight, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. And then spending the first day of the new year like hungover, it's just not for me. Lisa, what is my favorite self-care activity? Taking a bubble bath and reading a book. That for me, that's 100%. Amanda, once we had children, we started doing Christmas at our own house and seeing family at different times. Yeah, I think it'll be, it'll change once that is a factor as well. We'll see. Are they doing Times Square in New York again this year? London canceled their fireworks. Oh, that is very sad. I have no idea. I haven't seen one way or the other. Either way, I'm not going. I feel like that is one of those bucket list things that everybody like says they want to do someday. I don't know. I don't know if I have any desire to do that. I don't know. Great question, Amy. Do you do all your goal setting and cultivate your life, or do you wait to decide for sure until the end of the month? So neither of the above. So I won't do all my goal setting, cultivate your life. I will get through the prep work that they will get us through, and then I will take a break, and then I will schedule another time in my calendar to finalize my goals, but it will be much earlier than the end of the month. But it'll be separate from Cultivate Your Life. Cynthia, how do you deal, or what tips would you give to someone who is a giver surrounded by takers who don't think twice about all her time invested planning her days? So, number one is you need to start small, because if you go from being somebody who is constantly giving your time to other people to then like constantly saving it for yourself, that drastic change is going to make things more difficult than easy. So start with small things, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, focusing on time for yourself and being very protective of that time for yourself. This also might have to have some tough conversations where you're explaining that you are going to reserve this time for yourself and you're not changing it. It's going to just also take some like firm boundaries from yourself and focus on setting those. But again, if you set them, if you start with small steps, it's a lot easier for you to say like, no, this is 5 minutes. That's for me. And then you can go about doing however you used to. But then once you've done that once, the next time it's easier for it to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. Kayla, picking a planner to work for you. I'm assuming you just mean this in like a general topic. Discs are coil bound. Bring my planner with me places so coil doesn't work. I feel like if you found a planner where the coil was really sturdy, I actually think that a sturdy coil is probably the best type of planner to take around with you. Not like a YRO coil, unfortunately, but like a real coil, which is the best kind of coil. Lisa, highlight every week. I love that you always ask this. Probably the fact that I did literally nothing on Sunday. And I'll talk about this more in the vlog coming out next week. I did nothing. I watched all 4 Halloween Town movies. I laid in bed. I watched football. I took a bath. I did nothing for anybody else. I just lay there. The extent of what I did for someone else was I included Sam on my order to deliver food. I handed him my phone and asked him to add what he wanted to eat. Amy, how much of the prep work do they get through Cultivate Your Life? So the past 2 years, they get up to the goal breakdown pages. So that is the point that they get to. I'm assuming it's going to be the same this year, but they haven't said one way or the other. My love for New Year's is definitely related to my love for planners. I get that. I totally get that. Loretta, tips for swapping a routine from the evening into the morning. I've been going to the gym after work, but often lack energies or things get in the way. But in the morning would have to get up 2 hours before you do now. Whew. Okay. So to answer the question about tip from swapping the evening to the morning is don't feel like you have to take the whole thing and plop the whole thing into the morning, right? So if right now you're going to the gym for an hour in the evenings, don't feel like you have to do a full hour in the morning. Start by doing something smaller. Start with 10 minutes in the mornings and get that consistent and then build it back up to wherever you were before. That said, if you're not a morning person and the idea of waking up 2 hours in the morning before you do now is not appealing, then maybe it's working on the conflicts that you're having in the evening or the energy thing. Oh my gosh. Elise, Halloween Town is the spookiest Halloween movie I can handle. The second and third one get a little spooky. That's for sure. Kayla, sticking with the planner. I can't seem to stay consistent with the planner. So, I mean, sometimes it's just willpower that you just kind of like commit to yourself. Sometimes having an accountability, somebody else that you send a picture of the planner to so that you're committing to using it. Even if that's just like one friend that you send a picture to. I also feel like dated planners really help me with this because then I don't want to miss a day and have an empty day in my planner. So that also really helps me stay consistent. And then reminding myself how much I spent on it. Morgan, sometimes I find myself setting goals or a plan for the next day and never actually following through. How can I get better at planning my day? Well, it sounds like your issue is maybe not necessarily planning, but the following through on the plan. And typically, the biggest reason we struggle to follow through on the goals or the plan that we set for the next day is because we're setting way too ambitious. And if we are setting big, massive, like there's no like going from 0 to 100 on the day that we're planning out, we're going to be way less likely to follow through. So my advice here is to set smaller goals, add way more white space into your calendar, and focus on adding little by little and working on the consistency aspect of it, because that is typically the harder part. And so if you start smaller, it makes it easier to stay consistent. And then once you're consistent and you're actually following through on your plans, what you say you're going to do, then it gets easier to add on to that and build up to something bigger. I hope that was helpful. Hocus Pocus is as scary as you get. That's next on my list, Susan, to watch. It's probably going to be this Sunday. After my parents leave for the airport, I'm turning into a potato and I'm not going to move. And my team, I may watch football. We'll see how I feel. Or I might watch Hocus Pocus. Or both. Okay, I think I'm all caught up. Any other questions? Anything else that you want to chat about? What was the reading goal you set for the year? What's the total divided into fiction, nonfiction? So the goal I set was to read 50 books, which I'm at 43 now so far. I did not put a split between fiction and nonfiction. It was just total 50 books. I think at the half of the year when I did that video, it was like 14 and 11. I was literally like exactly halfway through the year, which is kind of amazing. I think I did 14 and 11. I'm probably leaning a little bit more fiction at this point. I've gotten a little bit slower on my nonfiction, but I didn't set a goal either way. So feeling pretty good about hitting that goal. Laura, I went to the Thanksgiving parade in NYC once, never again. I feel differently about the parade than I do about Times Square on New Year's Eve. I think the parade is different. You can find spaces that have less crowds. I am a little tainted because the one time we did go to the parade, it was like 10 degrees outside. And so I was freezing, but I would go back to the parade, weather pending. Times Square, no. Turning into a potato. Yeah. Epic game of floor is lava. Yeah. Or that, right? Just like laying in bed or laying on the couch is where you'll find me on Sunday afternoon. That is where I will be. Sometimes I just know that after this weekend, I explained what I was doing this weekend earlier. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm just going to be very exhausted by the time my parents head to the airport on Sunday. Oh, Tina, I'll come go to the parade with you. Yeah, we'll see. It's probably something I won't do in the immediate near future. It's probably like I'll bring my kids back someday and take them to the parade. So I'm not inching to go right this second and stay in New York on Thanksgiving. Someday. I did enjoy it, minus the fact that I was absolutely freezing. Amy, as I read through and answered a few of the prep work questions in the power sheets, I made a realization that I'm motivated by checking things off. What is a motivator for you? That's definitely a motivator for me, checking things off. For me, I think I'm motivated by, I think really ties back to the Enneagram, and I'm an Enneagram type 3, but I wing 2. So I am very much motivated by like the accomplishments in general, like accomplishing things and achieving goals, which fits well. But I'm also motivated by how it impacts other people. And so when I can relate my goals to a positive impact on somebody else, that really helps motivate me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't set goals that are strictly for me. The dance goal, I talked about this, and if you didn't watch my monthly goals video where I like completely teared up because I like talked about how I'm dancing for me and not for anybody else, that is for me. That goal is for nobody else. But I do think about how my happiness typically impacts at least Sam and then maybe some other people around me. So at the end of the day, it does, it helps. So. The parade is too early for this night owl to want to get up. That's what DVR is for. I feel like when we were in Central Time last year on Thanksgiving, we didn't start watching it right when it started. We recorded it and pressed play later on and just fast forward through commercials. I love watching the parade. I will always watch the parade. I love all their performances. I love like from Broadway and all the marching bands and all the artists that sing. New York Life has had a float the last 2 years, which has been fun to celebrate their 175th anniversary. And I love the parade. Like if I could, like Thanksgiving to me is not about the food. I do love Thanksgiving food. Okay. Mashed potatoes and stuffing are the best, and gravy. Let me know in the comments, either in the chat or in the comments, if you're watching the replay, what your favorite Thanksgiving food is. But for me, my favorite part of Thanksgiving is watching the parade and then watching football and watching football and watching football. That's the best part of Thanksgiving for me. Lisa Marie, this is a good question. What's the best way to stay motivated when you don't have anybody cheering you on or a support system? You're your own cheerleader, which can be very tiring. That can be very, very exhausting. I would, it's hard, easier said than done, but I would try and find at least one person that can be your support system, one friend. And it can be a virtual friend that can help you be your cheerleader when you need that kind of pick me up. I also, one thing that I've learned, the comments come in about Thanksgiving. I can't wait to get to these. One thing I've also learned recently by getting closer with another friend is we have different cheerleaders for different things. Like there are some people I go to for like when I need cheerleading related to like relationship stuff. There's somebody else I go to when I need the cheerleader for Plan with Laken. There's somebody else I go to when I need cheerleading for dance. And it doesn't have to be like my one friend is like my cheerleader for all the things. It's like I have different cheerleaders for different areas of my life. And I think that's really helped me as well. Okay, we got lots of mashed potatoes, lots of stuffing/dressing, whatever you call it. It's delicious either way. Potato casserole, lots of cheese, corn pudding, so good. Oh my gosh, mac and cheese, brown gravy or cream. Brown gravy for me, Shannon. Turkey sandwiches, sweet potatoes, jalapeno cheese squares. Oh, Susan, that sounds good. Oh my gosh, you guys. Now I'm hungry. All these comments. Abby, I see your question. Does anyone have tips for seasonal depression? The biggest tip I've heard is that those like lights that emanate vitamin D. But if anybody watching this has any other tips for her, highly request as well. That's not something that I typically struggle with. All right, we are almost out of time. I know I missed some of the pre-submitted questions. We just got way off topic today. I will save that. They're saved. They actually don't get deleted unless I delete them. I will get to them next week. Let me answer let me ask you our last question. And that is, what is one thing that you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What is one small thing that you can do to keep moving forward? Keep that momentum going. It doesn't have to be big. Yes, Amy, I know. I love that everything that listed, we're all carbs, guys. We're all just here. We're here for the carbs. Here for it. I'm here for all the carbs. And if you're watching the replay and you've made it this far, you're the best. Okay? Let us know in the chat and in the comments what you're doing this week to make progress on your goals. Doing laundry, YouTube videos, starting a new job, going walking 3 times a day. Amy, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Prepping for an important meeting. Lisa, that's so exciting. Sending you all the good vibes. A week of gratitude challenge. Amanda, that's super cool. Super cool. Also, a couple more tips about vitamin D, time outside, and talking to your physician about seasonal depression. Declutter your hallway and living room. Finish your studio reorg. 75% of the way done. Susan, that's amazing. Amazing. Shannon, prepping for November goals and October reflections. Calling all of your siblings. Erin, I love that. I love that. I haven't talked to any of my siblings on the phone in a really long time. In fact, I don't remember the last. Maybe my sister, and that's about it. Taking some time for you. I love that, Loretta. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be, even if it feels small, you're still making progress. And that's the most important part. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you wouldn't mind giving a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're new here, click that subscribe button. I do upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching.